Hello, and in this Prepare for IELTS speaking video, I'm going to look at the Part 1 topic of wild animals. So let's take a look at the model answers. Have you ever seen a wild animal before? Yes, I have, and oh, what an incredible experience. When I was visiting Australia, we were driving down a pretty isolated road, and suddenly a kangaroo hopped in front of the car. We were going slowly, so stopped the car and just stared at this amazing creature. It really took my breath away. Now, maybe you haven't visited Australia, so just change the place and still use the same expressions when I was visiting, we were driving, we were going slowly, because that gets you the past continuous, which is good for the grammatical range. Incredible, remember to use different adjectives rather than great, nice, good. Pretty isolated. In speaking, we often use pretty instead of saying quite or rather. Pretty isolated, so if something is isolated, there are not a lot of houses or people. A kangaroo hopped. The action that a kangaroo does is to hop. To stare at means to look at somebody for a long period of time and not look away. We stared at this amazing creature, another word for an animal. It really took my breath away, an idiomatic expression. If something takes your breath away, it shocks you, it surprises you, it astonishes you in a pleasing or a surprising way. The adjective you can use is breathtaking, but I've used the full idiomatic expression here to make it a little bit more complex. It really took my breath away. Which wild animal do you like the most? Oh gosh, that's a tricky question because I'm an animal lover, so it's tough to pick just one. I guess if I had to choose, I'd go for the panda. They're incredibly cute animals and endangered, so it's virtually impossible to see one in the wild. So when you have a question that's quite difficult to answer, oh gosh, it's like saying, oh my goodness, oh gosh, that's a tricky question, difficult question. It's tough, meaning difficult to pick just one. And then I've used a second conditional. If I had to choose, I'd go for. To go for means to choose. It's quite informal. So I'm saying if I had to choose, I'd choose, but rather than repeat choose, I'd go for the panda. Incredibly cute. IELTS examiners like it when you use words from the same word family. So I've used incredible as an adjective, I've used incredibly as an adverb. Endangered, an animal that's endangered is in danger of extinction. Extinction means there are no more of those animals left. Virtually impossible can be used in writing as well, and it means almost impossible. It's a good collocation. Virtually impossible to see one in the wild, and that means not in a zoo, in the wild. Do you like going to zoos? Yes and no. It's not something I do as a rule. However, if I'm on holiday, then I might go to a zoo to pass the time. I'm not a massive fan of keeping animals in cages in zoos, to be perfectly honest. However, if they have a breeding program for endangered species, then I support that. As a rule, if you say that something happens as a rule, you mean it usually happens. So if I say it's not something I do as a rule, it means I don't usually do it. It's not something I do as a rule. However, I've used some complex language here. People think you can't use it in speaking. You can. The reason I've used it here to show you how to use it in writing with the semicolon, however, comma. To pass the time is a good idiomatic expression, and it means to let time or a period of time go by, especially when you're doing something enjoyable. So you're passing the time on holiday. So it's a bit like spending the time doing something, to pass the time. I'm not a massive fan of. I don't really like keeping animals in cages. There in the picture you can see the lions in a cage. To be perfectly honest, however, they have a breeding program. A breeding program is the planned breeding, the planned reproduction of a group of animals to try to save them from extinction. Endangered species, species is another word for animals, so animals that are at risk of extinction. Hope you found this video useful, and thank you very much for watching.